Morning, brothers and sisters. Naomi back for another video. This is probably going to be an unusual topic for anybody who hasn't watched any of my videos, but it's us pursuing the scriptures and understanding them in allegorical terms. And the one we're going to take a quick look at today, and I do hope that it is a short video today, is it found in Isaiah 53 verse 5. And it says this, it says, "But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed." Now I'm going to suggest something here, and I'm going to back it up by scriptures, because everybody goes, it's not in there, it's not in there. Well, it's not in there if you're listening to Baal's telling you this fallen theology. Sure, you're not going to find it in there. But if you go in and you start pulling the words up for yourself, and you start cross-referencing the passages, you may find something that's going to shock you to your core. You may find the Spirit is actually leading you in a different path. You may find that than the one that all of these commentaries and all of these books written by men teaching you this theology is truth, when everybody else is off on a different path. And you may find that you end up being the wrong one. You just may find that one out. And so here we're going to look at this in an allegorical term again. Because I don't happen to believe that this is just all one verse. I happen to believe it should be into two parts. And I believe the first part is the male, the masculine, and I believe the second part is the feminine. So it would go like this. "But he, Christ, was wounded for Adam's transgressions," fallen Adam's transgressions, "and he was bruised for his iniquities." But the second half concerns the feminine that was rejected by fallen Adam. "The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes," the stripes that we deal to the body to cut it away, those fallen Adams that rejected us, "we are healed." So we're looking at it in allegorical terms, okay? Now keep that with you, because we need to look at a couple other passages before we can pull this together in our thinking. Alright, now what does it say of the daughter Zion in Isaiah 26? Alright, now I actually have this pulled up here. Now, if it's going to work today. It is found in Isaiah 26, and it is verse 18. Alright, and what does it say? And it is talking about the daughter Zion, okay? Watch what it says. We'll start at verse 17. Isaiah 26, verse 17. "As a woman with child and about to give birth writhes and cries out in pain, that is how we were in your presence, O Lord." This is talking about the daughter Zion. Verse 18. "We were pregnant. We writhed in pain, and we gave birth to wind. We have brought no salvation to the earth, nor brought any life into the world." Verse 19. "Your dead will live, their bodies will rise. Awake and sing, you who dwell in the dust, for your dew is like the dew of the morning, and the earth will bring forth its dead." Now, we're talking about the daughter Zion here. Let's give a different rendering, just so we remember it. This is the King James. "We have been with child. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth." Why is birthing children connected to a deliverance in the earth? What are we talking about here? Well, what we've been talking about. "Neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen." What inhabitants? The male rulers who governs their own bodies, who say they're the image of God and they're in charge, and you will teach the vineyards what I tell you to teach. All right? That's these men who caused Christ to suffer on the cross. He took on their sins. But it's his stripes that heals the daughter Zion. Now watch this. All right? Jeremiah 5. It says this, and we looked at this in another video, a couple videos back, or maybe the last one, I can't remember. Jeremiah 5 verse 13, it says, "And the prophet shall become wind." There we go with that word, wind again. And what does it say? "We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have as it were brought forth wind." Verse 13, Jeremiah 5, "And the prophet shall become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. So these prophets here that's in view are men who made themselves rulers over the body and began to teach empty doctrines, vain doctrines that put them in charge. And they began prophesying false prophecies as well. Now, what are we looking at? Let's go to, okay, I don't have it pulled up, but it's in Jeremiah 30. All right, what does it say here? Just so we can shape this in our head before I speak on it, all right, and try to pull it together for you. The verse 30, it's verse 6, and what does it say? It says, Jeremiah 30, verse 6, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his hips as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So they can't deliver the burden, all right? And it says, what you have done to my daughters, what you have caused, the pain that you have caused my daughters, it's going to come right back on you. That's just what it said here in Jeremiah 5. What did it say? It says it will be done unto you. You have caused my daughters a lot of pain by rejecting their rightful rule over the body. My righteous daughters, you have put them in pain. That's what you have done. You have caused them to be in great pain. And they have, as it were, brought forth wind. They have not brought any deliverance in the earth, and the inhabitants of the world have not fallen. So she says to the men in Jeremiah 5, verse 13, and the prophet shall become wind. And the wind and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. And then we see every man standing around with his hands on his hip. This is the day of the Lord. And you see the daughters of Zion with the stripes of cutting away fallen Adam. And this is your allegory on earth. This is what played out on the cross. Mother took her anger out on the son. She was angry for what fallen Adam did to the daughter Zion on earth. And she takes that anger out on the son. But that anger that was shown in allegory on the cross plays out on earth as she delivers the children. And she, by his stripes, by striking away fallen Adam. Now remember, Christ hung on the cross and took the sins of fallen Adam upon him. And remember, that spear was thrusted into his side, representing the poison that had poisoned him, the poison doctrine of the hardened spirit that he chose a covenant with, that caused him to think of himself as a God and that he can deliver the children. Wrong. You see, the picture of Christ on the cross and the poison coming out of his body is the image of fallen Adam being struck away. All right? He's being struck away, and as these daughters go forth and they strike them away, they are empowered in some way. That's why we're seeing every man standing around with his hands on his hip. He's brought down in some way. I don't know if it's through a plague, maybe that hits the male body, or maybe he's finally come down to where he was always meant to be, which was not over you as a woman. And we're talking righteous daughters here. So it says, why now do we see a man standing around with his hands on his hip as a woman in travail? And then Jeremiah 5 says, what he did to my daughters, putting them in great travail and great pain. For the last 6,000 years, he's done this to the daughters by preaching himself as God, the image of God. And you're a woman under him, and he can force you to do whatever he wants you to do. This is the teachings of fallen theology, that a man is over a woman, and men run away with that, and they use it to inflict harsh pains on the daughters. And one of them was to preach false theology. Empty doctrines is what word means. All right, we have brought forth, as it were, empty doctrines. We have been in pain. We have been unable to deliver the children. We have been in pain this long. But with his stripes, we are healed. The daughters are healed. When they go forth in judgment to judge the body, all right, which is the harvest, which is akin to the harvest, which is the daughter Zion going forth. I have been restrained. She has been silent, it says. I have been silent. And now will I go forth as a travailing woman, it says in Isaiah 42. And she's angry. She's angry with the fallen Adams that have rejected her. She is the indignant Lord. The indignation of the Lord wherewith she will strike through her enemies in the day of her wrath. That's her striking the fallen Adam with stripes. We are healed. You see, and that's what that is allegorical to. These daughters of Zion are going to manifest in physical time and space. And they are going to go forth and they are going to cut away these Adams who reject the righteous spirit within their bodies as their rulers, as their other half equal to them. And she's going to strike them and she's going to cut them away. And it looks like she's going to be enabled to do that because these men who did to them, it's going to come right back on them. And it says, now, why do I see every man standing around with his hands on his hip as a woman in travail? And what did Jeremiah 5 say? What does it say? What does it say here? In, was it verse 18? Was it? 13. Verse 13. And the prophet shall become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. So now you see every man standing around with his hands on his hips. As a woman in travail, they can't deliver the burden, just as these women here called the daughters of Zion were not able to bring forth and accomplish a deliverance in the earth. And that deliverance can only belong to the daughters of Zion. No man can do this. All right? We're shown this in the creation. Women birth. All right? Men do not birth. All right? But they thought they could. They thought they were God. They were the God that was going to do it all. All right? And they put women in subjection to their lies, to their empty doctrines that tickle their ears, that's poisoning them. It tastes like honey on their tongue. The book of Job tells us this in chapter 20, I think it says, or chapter 30. I can't remember of Job. But it tastes like honey on his tongue, but it's cobra's venom in his gut. It's killing him. It's killing him. And here the daughters are shown as going forth, and with his stripes, the cutting away of those wicked Adams who will not receive the truth of the Spirit manifested here in real physical time and space are going to be cut away in judgment. This is actually the reshaping of creation. This is actually the reshaping of the body of Adam. And those Adams who do receive the righteous daughters as the Spirit that governs the body, they will be resurrected to newness of life. That's what these daughters do. The issues of life and death belongs to this Lord. We see that in Psalm 68. Now, we've hit at this before. But when you go in and you pull that word up for Lord in Psalm 68, it is daughter Zion that sits to Christ's right hand. In Psalm 110, who will strike through her enemies in the day of her wrath, and her name is daughter Zion. All right? It says the scepter will come out of Zion. That's daughter Zion. All right, and what does it say? It says, verse 20 of 68, Psalm 68, verse 20. She, not he, she that is our God is the God of salvation, and unto God the Lord there is 136. She's the same one sitting to Christ's right hand in Psalm 110, who will strike through her enemies in the day of her wrath. With his stripes we are healed. Belong the issues from death, it says. She that is our God is the God of salvation, and unto God the Lord belongeth the issues from death. But God shall wound the head of her enemies. Yes. And the hairy scalp. That's the wicked daughter Babylon. Of such an one as goeth on still in his trespass, her trespasses. All right. It speaks of your heads as having a lot of hair, hairy head. Your long hair on women is actually a symbol of strength or power. Your hair is your power. It's representing the power of the righteous spirit, your hair is. And it is sometimes, actually, there's a term that refers to the hairy she-goat. The hairy she-goat of them all. She's the most powerful one of all. And that's daughter Zion. So what does it say? Let's just read it one last time. Isaiah 53. So we get a better idea of what it is we're actually looking at in the end of days playing out. And Mother says, my prophet's words will be the ones that will be fulfilled. It won't be the lying prophet's words. They will not be fulfilled. It'll be my daughter Zion's words that are fulfilled. You just stand back And you just wait and see. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace, the daughter Zion's peace, was on him, was on the fallen Adam. And by his wounds, she strikes him. We are healed. Let's just look a few words up here right quick before we leave. All right? Which I meant to do earlier. I got to be done pretty quick. But he was wounded. Desecrate, profaned, pollute oneself, for our transgressions, rebellion. He was bruised, crushed, broken, contrite, shattered, to allow oneself to be crushed. He did. This was like an allegory playing out. This was like a ritual playing out on the cross, because what was done at the cross will be done on earth. All right? So mother's anger fell on the son for what fallen Adam did, and he represented the sins of fallen Adam. He did. The chastisement, the correction. Let's look that word up. Discipline, chastening, correction, and it's masculine. And men will say, it's because it's us doing it. No, it ain't. It's you being corrected. You're wrong. Your fallen theology is wrong that teaches a he. It is the spirit, daughter Zion, that rules the body. And she does that through laws of equity. Absolute equality. All right? Which is not what we have right now. We have men exalting himself over the woman, going, we're the image of God, not you. And that's of Baal. Right? Chastening. Correction, discipline, punishment, reproof. I would say judgment. This is the daughter going forth in judgment. Discipline, doctrine, instructions. He's going to be corrected by the daughter Zion going forth teaching truth through the Spirit, which is how you will be birthed. And if you refuse her doctrines, then guess what? You're going to be cut away. And you're going to be spread like dung. Judgment. You're going to die. Our peace, in this case. What does our peace? All right. This is complete soundness, welfare, peace. It too is a masculine noun. But our peace. So the men will have peace, which means resurrection. Right? Complete soundness. They are now what they were always intended to be. Perfect. They are no longer spouting the doctrine of the harlot spirit, which exalts him as God. He is now joined himself to the daughter Zion, who is his righteous spirit, who is his other half that gives life. All right? With his stripes, let's see what that says. It's feminine. To stripe, a blow. Now they'll say, well, we do that to the women. No, you don't. It's her doing it to fallen Adam. All right? She is striking him in anger, in judgment, in her wrath. She is striking through the kings and the false rulers of this world who rejected her out of her rightful place and put the harlot in power. All right? To bound with stripes, black and blue mark, blueness, bruise, hurt, stripe, wound. All right. She goes forth in judgment. We are healed. All right, let's look the word healed up. To heal. We're finally healed. As righteous daughters, we're finally healed because we've been able to pay back. And God says, my wrath will not always be so. You know, my wrath has an end. And it'll come to a point where she's no longer angry. And that is because she has reshaped the body, Adam, and resurrected him to newness of life with the truth of the words and commandments of heaven, as opposed to the doctrines of Baal and the harlot spirit, which teaches Baal that he's God. He. All right? And she's angry because they rejected her out of her rightful place. And it says she has become completely healed, purified, reappeared, she's repaired, She's taken care. She has delivered the children, is what she's done, all right? And cut away the fallen Adams that were of no use, all right? No use in the new creation. No use. And with his stripes, us striking away those fallen Adams who will not hear the truth of the Spirit, she is healed. So that's your allegory. That's actually what we're looking at, okay? Now, you can say I'm wrong. You're gonna, because you still got the clay on your eyes. You're not going in. You're not looking at the words for yourself and studying the words. You're listening to what somebody else says, they say. What a man told you, they said. You're not going to cross-reference, and you're not getting down on your knees and going to the Spirit and saying, please show me what this all means. All right? And it's interesting that the church there in France burned. I wonder if it's representing of the false church being burned to the ground, kind of like the fallen Adam. Judgment's coming. And it says judgment begins at the house of God. And so this is what we're looking at. This is another allegory that you can take heart to, take heed to. And Mother says, my prophets, I'm going to back their words up. They spout prophets and prophecies, and then they go about trying to fulfill them themselves. But she says, when it's all said and done, my truths are going to stand. And my daughter Zion will deliver the body. That's what it says. She will no longer be birthing wind. She's going to birth truth this time. And by birthing truth, she delivers the children. And so there we have it. Fairly short video, not too bad. Had time to do it. Yay! Thanks for anybody who's watched my videos, who's paying attention. The abomination of desolation, it got up to 108 counts. Boom, I got up the next day. They had knocked her down to 67. And the other videos, they had knocked off a few counts, but it was that one that they hit the hardest. So you know what? I would strongly recommend you go in and watch the abomination of desolation and / advancing for the king. All right? So I would strongly go in. I would recommend watching the abomination of desolation and the controversy of Zion. All right? I would strongly recommend you watch those two. So again, thanks for watching my videos. Thank you, Nicole, for watching my videos. My sis Nick. I love her. She's a hard worker. She's out there in this cold rain. And I thank you for your encouragement. Always, you know that. And thanks to all my brothers and sisters who are watching my videos and trying to actually pick up this theology. I hope the Lord blesses you in all that you are pursuing. And I hope that you all have a really nice day.